I am myself
Ahí.
Secretary General
¿Más?
of MUN Bilbao 2022.
Yo diría que ya está bien.
And I am honored to welcome you here today.
Ahí.
Thank you for
Espera.
coming together in this extraordinary situation after 2 years of pandemic. This pandemic has fundamentally changed the way we see life and how we socialize. Now that we can finally come together once again, it is vital for us to resume our normal activities, such as an in-person MUN conference, in a safe and respectful manner. Therefore, I must ask everyone to take the necessary precaution throughout the conference. This includes wearing your mask at all times and using the hand sanitizer frequently, please. I would also like to ask if you could keep your phones in silence, please. We all know that sometimes your first choice is not the best fit for you, and that was the case for me and MUN. At first, I didn't consider taking MUN as an optional subject, but having joined the activity, I have found that I made the right decision. Certainly, when I began learning 3 years ago, I never thought I would eventually become Secretary General of this conference. During the last 10 months organizing this conference, all the members of the Secretariat team have learned a variety of skills that will no doubt prove useful to us in our future. But more importantly, we have learned that through the difficult moments, the best way to go through is to work as a team. And I would like to thank my Secretariat team for all the dedication and hard work to ensure that this conference can go ahead despite the current situation. I would also like to thank our sponsors, Colegio Ayalde and COAS, our educational group, for supporting us during the preparation of the conference. Reflecting upon the momentary change that has happened over the past few years, I asked myself, what would the world look like today without the UN? And how many educational opportunities would have been lost without the UN? We all know from personal experience that the UN is a way of meeting people and coming together to make improvement in our society. But it's not only that. It is also the start of a process to recognize the need to realize the changes our world urgently needs. I am both pleased and impressed to be surrounded by so many bright and inspirational young people that have come here to make a difference. It speaks highly of all of you that you are willing to make an effort to bring about change. You are here to make an impact, and you will be the change maker of tomorrow. Let me offer you a very special welcome this afternoon and reiterate what a tremendous honor it is for me to have you all here. After these unprecedented 2 years, let us come together one more time to celebrate the Model United Nation. Thank you. We are now going to entertain some speeches from our VIP guests. I would like to start by introducing our first speaker, José María Jr., director here at the University of Deusto.
Thank you. Organizers, members of Model United Nations, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the University of Deusto, I would like to express how honored we are to host this conference in its inaugural day. I warmly thank you for having chosen this university to attend the opening of Model United Nations Bilbao, especially this Paraninfo, the most magnificent and iconic place we have at Deusto. The University of Deusto was founded 136 years ago. Over the years, it has become a benchmark for many academic institutions. Today, Deusto is ranked among Spain's leading universities for its world-class teaching and top-level performance. Hallmarks of Deusto are student education in competencies and values, always with a strong international vocation. Every year, more than 1,000 students come to our university to study graduate or postgraduate studies, and we are linked with more than 400 universities around the world. Just a sign of the international view, may I ask you to look up here? See, you have Native American people painted up there, and behind you have Asian native people. So when they made this building, they also thought about international issues. Welcome also to the Basque Country. And if I may ask you a question, do you happen to know which is the oldest language of Spain? Which is the oldest language of Europe? which is the oldest language of this part of the world, from India to Europe and Ireland. So those languages. So welcome to a country with a long history. I hope that during these model presentation sessions, you also provide with ideas and help about to know how to deal also with cultural issues, not only economic or technical or scientific, and how you may help small countries in the peaceful dialogue with big and powerful states in this context of threat of war in Ukraine and whatever. Pope Francis spoke a few years ago at the General Assembly of the United Nations. He spoke about human rights, the rights of the environment, our religious and cultural persecution, and different situations of exclusion and inequality. You have lots of topics to discuss about. As a Jesuit university, humanistic and ethical values are deeply embedded in Deusto education, and they represent a long-lasting legacy for students and alumni. That's why it's impressive looking at all of you, how you prepare to develop this model initiatives in Bilbao. Thank you for your work. I'm aware that the program of the conference will be very intense over the next few days, discussing such important problems international community has to face nowadays. I hope this conference lives up to the expectations created by successful past conferences. I am sure that it serves to continue as a powerful hub for fruitful projects, relations, and experiences. So, dear MUN members, I hope you enjoy MUN Bilbao, enjoy today at the University of Deusto, and come back in the future. Our doors are open always for you. Eskerrik asko, thank you, gracias.
Thank you, Rector, for those words of welcome. Our second speaker is Javier Martinez Zavala, the Director General of Bilbao, Quinta, who is the person responsible for the promotion of Bilbao outside of Spain.
Thank you very much. The mayor will be here, the mayor wanted to be here, but he asked me to be here instead of him because he has another compromise. Thank you very much for the organization for preparing this MUN Bilbao. As far as I know, we are more around 260 young students, and we will be here from today till 30th of January, trying to do the same work as the United Nations organization are doing in New York. The COVID pandemic is all around us. Still we have the mask, but we have to face the future. The idea is not see the pandemic as a problem, as a crisis. Like, instead of that, we ought to see the pandemic as a way of changing. Bilbao has changed a lot. We are examples all over the world because of the urban transformation that Bilbao has done in the last 30 years. Let's see if we can face the problem of the pandemic and also the sustainability, the problems that all the world has. And let's see if the change that can be a reality within us. Bilbao has another point of view that is the city of the values. The values means that the way that we have the relation with each other, the way that the people start a new business here in the city. We have the idea of being this point, no? The Bilbao like the city of the values. In this way, Bilbao follows the path set by the local human development and the 17 sustainable development goals of the United Nations for the 2030 agenda. Congratulations for doing this conference, and hope that we do have the chance of learning each other's another way of doing things. Thank you very much.
I would now like to introduce Gemma Tomás, the Dean of Law here at the University. The faculty will support us in arranging the opening ceremony to be held in this beautiful pavilion.
Rector, University of Deusto, Director for Social Innovation and the Basque Country of the Basque Government, General Director of Kinsa, Director of COUS and Director of Arctic Council, ladies and gentlemen. Also on behalf of the Deusto School, I would like to express how honored I am to host again this conference, this MUN Bilbao, in this inaugural day. I would like to thank you for having chosen the university and the law school to attend this opening of Modern United Nations Bilbao. We are again, this is I think the third time in this Paralympic Forum. For us, to have you here is very important. This is our iconic and most magnificent place we have in the university. And being here is very special. I want also that this moment be very important for you. And it will be in your memories for many years. I'm absolutely sure. You know that Deusto is Deusto University always tries to focus the education in pedagogical method based on competencies and values. For us, these values are very important and always with a very strong international commitment. This commitment has many expressions, many ways to be in fact in many ideas, in many programs, degrees for undergraduate and postgraduate studies. But always there is another feature for Deusto, which is the commitment with the social justice. We live in a very critical moment, not only because of the challenges related with human rights violations, the global movements of population, environmental risks, but especially for all the problems, economic and social problems due to the pandemic. I'm absolutely sure that all these problems will be around today and tomorrow. So we are very proud of you, because we think that this conference will be a new opportunity for the young people and for the society in general to discuss and to discover ways to solve these problems we have to face in the future and every day. So we have thus you can continue to establish this powerful hub to have experience for this the way you do the way that you do every year. And also you can enjoy these days, because all these events are also an opportunity to experience again the relation and the present, not only the online events. So enjoy today and enjoy tomorrow, enjoy Bilbao, enjoy the university, and enjoy the way to make new friends. That's also very important. And please come back in the future. And you know that our doors will be always open for you. You are the future, and you know that it's very important for us that you have the consent of the future. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, and congratulations for this new MUN Bilbao.
Iker Atza is the Director of Social Innovation, Social Transition and Agenda 2030 for the Basque Government, and responsible for the promotion of the Sustainable Development Goals within the Basque Country.
Good afternoon, everyone. Arratsaldeon, as we say in Basque. Welcome to the Basque Country. Welcome all, and thank you very much, MUN, for the invitation. We are very glad from the Basque Government being here today. Glad and happy. As far as all the young people plays a key role in the 2030 agenda. As far as young people has the important roles to play in terms of sustainability, as far as they are the future. You are the future, all of you. And you are the future generations that you will be in charge of minimize our social, environmental, and economical bad impacts and improve the good ones. So, at the beginning of 2022, we are part of the profound transformations and uncertain destiny at all levels of reality and in social relations. But we are lucky as far as United Nations has put in a new global agenda. We have an historical opportunity, I would say. United Nations provide us a tool agreed between all its members states, the 2030 agenda, and we have all today in our hands a common global agenda that sets out 17 goals and 169 targets with 4 areas of critical importance for the humanity today, which are the people, the planet, the prosperity, and the peace. I know that you are working hard in your colleges regarding the Sustainable Development Goals. We recently, for the Basque Country, we created, which is the action plan for the next years in our territory, as far as we have to localize these development goals in our territory. And we invite you all to take part in this future agenda. Recently was created a new department in the Basque Government, directly from the presidency, which is a structure attached to Basque presidency to coordinate the 2030 agenda in the Basque Country, and it has this program which is linked to it. We have a governance new plan to develop and reform the society. As far as this new document is called for social contract and proactivity, what we really need to do. We need to work all of us together, and that's the invitation we do here for the young people and all the educational community too. So thank you very much for the invitation again, and looking forward to hear you all. Thank you.
Representing our own Colegio Ayalde, I would like to welcome Piluka Baselga, the Director of Training.
Welcome authorities, advisors, friends and students from Germany, Poland and Spain. We are living in complex times that, as defined by Professor and Trainer of Habits of Mind Institute, Benahale, are PICA, versatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous. It is with pride that I can look out across this room and see future professionals who are determined to cooperate and achieve a world living in peace, that knows how to resolve conflicts through dialogue and harmony, a world that discards hunger and inequalities, that gives real opportunities to all in education, health, housing and work, a world in which, as Pope Francis said, is the common home of all, and as such, we take care of it as if it were our own. From Ayalde, Munave, and the co-educational group, we sincerely hope that in this MUN conference will be an opportunity to reflect on all these aspects and others included in the UN 2030 agenda, so that tomorrow you yourselves can make the appropriate decisions each one from your place of work, to make the world more humane and committed to the ideals that have driven Europe since ancient times and have their roots in Christian humanism. Likewise, we hope that in this Congress, lasting friendships will form with whom special moments can be served, such as those that are usually related to commitment, generosity, and high-mindedness. And now I yield the floor back to the Secretary General. Thank you very much for coming.
Our final speaker is Dr. Anthony Speca, the director of our Modern Arctic Council. Dr. Speca is also a teacher at Norwich School in the UK and a professor at Trent University in Canada. He is also the managing director of the Guardería Institute for Circumpolar Education, which is part of the International University of the Arctic.
Thank you very much, Mademoiselle Secretary. It's a pleasure to be here in this temple of learning. Thank you very much to Glasgow University. Distinguished delegates, secretariat of MUN Bilbao, and esteemed guests, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you today. The Secretary General of MUN Bilbao asked me to speak with you about the Arctic and climate change. Some of you will know that I've been the director of MUN Bilbao, the Model Arctic Council Bilbao, this is the 4th year now. And many thanks to Senora Dignan for the invitation to come back every year to this wonderful place and to make this educational opportunity available to you. But I don't want just to talk with you about climate change in the Arctic. We know that climate change is affecting the Arctic. I wouldn't be telling you anything that you don't know. The Arctic is warming at 2 or 3 times faster than the rest of the world. Climate change is affecting the Arctic more strongly than anywhere else in the world. And that means that climate change is affecting the people in the Arctic. First and foremost, they are on the front lines. They are the ones who are affected. And that, for me, is the point. So I don't want to talk with you about just the Arctic and climate change. I want to talk with you about Arctic people and climate change. It's their lives and livelihoods that are on the line. And this is also the point of MAC Bilbao. Those of you who are delegates who will be joining me for Model Arctic Council Bilbao will be hearing more about this today. Today and tomorrow. But again, you are not here just to hear about this. We've already heard that you are the change makers, you are the future. You're here because you're inspired by these issues, and you want to do something about them, not just to listen and to hear what the problems are. And as you think about that, and as you think about how you're going to approach these issues in our diplomatic simulation, and you think about how you're going to approach these issues in your life, and you think about how you're going to approach issues of climate change and environment in your professional lives that come later, remember that global solutions sometimes mean that the local is forgotten. Climate change is a global emergency, but it's also a local emergency. Everywhere around the world, and as we said, no more strongly than in the Arctic. We have to remember that local people and local cultures and local lives and local incomes, that's what we're talking about. Those are the things that we're trying to preserve. We also have to remember that global solutions are often created by the global class, which tends to be male and white and European and wealthy, and that's not all of the people and all of the perspectives there are in the world, and certainly not all of the people and all of the perspectives there are in the Arctic. Because the Arctic is a homeland. It's a place where indigenous people have lived for thousands of years before Europeans came. And climate change is definitely top of their minds. But it's not the only problem that people in the Arctic face. Some of the other problems that were created by mostly male, mostly white, mostly European, mostly wealthy people in the Arctic was caused by imperialism and colonialism in past decades. And that's left a legacy of vulnerable cultures. It's left a legacy of poor social infrastructure. It's left a legacy of, yes, environmental blight, no doubt, but also poor outcomes in education and health, narrow local economies that are based on resource extraction rather than local development for local people. So remember, global problems like the ones that you're going to deal with are not just global problems, they're local problems. That's why the Basque country has created their own 2030 agenda in response to the United Nations, but as our esteemed guest put it, localizing the issue. It's often said about the Arctic that what happens in the Arctic doesn't stay in the Arctic, that it affects all of us. But to me, that gets it backwards. Climate change was not created by the people who live in the Arctic, it was created by all of us and the lifestyles that we lead. It would be better to say that what happens in the rest of the world doesn't stay in the rest of the world, it goes to the Arctic. We're affecting the Arctic probably more than the Arctic is affecting us. And that means that we're affecting Arctic people with everything that we do. Now, as we've heard already, MUN Bilbao is associated with MUN Impact, MUN Impact, which is, as you know, an organization that is dedicated to promoting the Sustainable Development Goals using MUN as a tool. But you would know then, and the people at MUN Impact know, and our esteemed guest who put together the Basque country's approach to the Sustainable Development Goals knows that the Sustainable Development Goals have to do with society and the economy and culture as well as the environment. What we want is sustainability on all of these fronts. We want sustainable development that brings together the environment, the economy, the society, and culture. By definition, this is going to have to involve Arctic people with their local concerns. It's, after all, their economy, their society, their culture, their homeland. Some of you may already know that I lived and worked in the Arctic. I'm Canadian and I spent years living and working in the Arctic, some years there. And I'm proud of, I worked in the government of Nunavut, which is one of Canada's Arctic territories, and I'm proud of some of the things that I did there and what I was able to bring. But I was always conscious that I was there on invitation. This was the land of the Inuit people. It was their land before Canada was there, before Britain was there. And I was there at their invitation to bring what I could. And of course I was a government employee, so I was also paid. And I experienced a lot that changed my life, and I experienced a lot that many people would love to see and do. And again, as I say, I'm proud of what I've done, but I used to write a little blog in the first months when I was there, trying to tell people down south what I was seeing and doing. And I would sometimes get the comments, "Oh, it's wonderful that you've gone up to the Arctic to help the Inuit." And I was always really a bit uncomfortable with this idea. The Inuit invited me there, so to speak. They don't need my help. They spent decades fighting for their homeland, fighting for their rights, and to get to the point where they could make a choice to hire someone like me to bring a little bit of expertise that they wanted for a few years. It was my privilege to be in the Arctic. One day when I was there, I saw the Northern Lights, and I used to see them all the time. But one day I saw them. Out of a car window, which was frosted, the car window was polarized. And they were so strong that I couldn't believe that the window was polarized. I opened the door and looked out at the car. And above me was a flaming curtain filling the entire sky. One of the most magnificent things I have ever seen. And you have to ask yourself, and I ask those people who say, "It's great that you're helping the Inuit." I think, who really is helping whom? Yeah, helping me. And I'd like you to take, I hope, that approach to world affairs. Not thinking of yourself as solving problems, but working with other people and gaining something yourselves from it, your own education and your own betterment as human beings. Eskerrik gracias. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Speaker, for your interesting presentation. We are extremely fortunate to have Dr. Speaker organizing our MUN, and this is his fourth year doing that. I know all delegates taking part in the Arctic Council will find it an interesting experience. I would like to thank all our speakers for taking the time out of their busy schedules to join us here at the opening ceremony of MUN Bilbao 2022. We do appreciate it. Now we are going to take a very short break so that our speakers can leave the top table and the Secretariat team will turn their places. Also, the Secretariat and delegates participating in the Arctic Council will now be moving to another room for their own separate meeting. Please take all your belongings with you. Thank you.
No, hombre, ahora no es mío. Sarah is absent.
No sé si hay algo para comer.
¿Hay para comer algo?
Hola, Diego.
Te he visto a mí con el móvil, ¿eh?
¿A mí?
A ti.
¿Por qué grabáis esto?
Porque me lo pides, si yo no lo haría.
¿Me estás tomando el pelo?
No es como se parece. No puedo poner ejemplos. Mira, tengo mi ordenador, mi esto, antes de dejar la cartera por ahí.
Yo, mira, sabes el vídeo.
Gonzalo.
Al día siguiente, gana el
Ahora mismo no sé, pero dicen los simultáneos. Más o menos cuántos días se va a ver. 4, día de 4. Ah, en la ciudad.
Delegates, advisors, and distinguished guests, we will now be starting with the ambassadors' speeches. We will be calling the ambassadors up in group of 3. Please line up here at the side in the order that you have been called. And when it's your turn, please make your way to the podium. You may remove your mask to speak. When you have finished your speech, it should be 1 minute long. Please make your way back to your seat using the telephone please. Earlier, Dr. Espeta choose the country that we will be starting with, and then we will work in alphabetical order. Therefore, please, can the ambassadors of Chad, China, and Costa Rica make their way to the stage, please?
Eso es lo que No, la próxima partida.
No, no, la seconda di non ho più
The ambassador, your 1 minute starts now.
Your Excellency, the Secretary General, Presidents, and honorable delegates. Chad has been a member of the United Nations since September 20, 1960. The delegation of Chad attaches a great importance to dealing with global economic and social problems, such as international economic issues, social progress and development, observance of human rights and fundamental freedoms, or issues within health and living conditions. As an important and trusted partner, the Union supports the government of Chad and implements model policies to respond more effectively to major challenges of peace, security, and the humanitarian needs in this swing 14 UN programs and agencies operate in Chad, such as the WHO, the OHCHR, and UNICEF. The Chadian delegation seeks social, economic, and cultural progress to improve the lives of the country's citizens and attain peace in the country. Chad is willing to improve the various programs it has and to be committed to all the resolutions to come out, only with the purpose of achieving healthy and prosperity for all. Peace cannot be achieved through violence, it can only be linked to understanding. This delegation hopes for a fruitful and constructive debate in order to solve these issues at hand today. Thank you.
The ambassador of China, your 1 minute starts now.
Honorable chairs, fellow delegates, and distinguished guests. For the past 2 years, COVID-19 pandemic has disturbed lives across all countries and communities, which has negatively affected global economic growth beyond anything experienced in nearly a century. However, China is proud to be able to say they have achieved a GDP growth of 1.8% over 2021. Being the second largest economy in the world, China recognizes its unique position as a nation with significant political and economic clout. China understands, supports, and empathizes with the desire of developing nations to strengthen their own economical and political systems. China aims to set an example for other nations, not only economically, but also in the field of drug usage, quality education, and security. Thus, the delegation of China will support resolutions that initiate, stimulate, and create growth for the developing world. Thank you.
Your 1 minute starts now.
Fellow delegates, honorable sirs, and distinguished guests. A few weeks ago, this delegate was a very interesting film called Luca. It had a very simple argument. When a group of scientists discovers an incoming catastrophic event, and the trade possible was leaders, politicians ignore them because political and economic nonsense thus sending the human race to hell. Although this film was an obvious comedy, I couldn't help but compare it with the actual situation of climate change. First of all, it seemed quite a realistic situation to this happens. Talking about human rights, health issues, or nuclear disarmament can be very useful, and of course, Costa Rica will support any positive change for our world. But the fact is that if we do not change things right now, all these problems will have disappeared together with the planet in some decades. We will be too busy looking for water or food or trying to survive climatic catastrophes. These last years, we have only seen good intentions written in tons of papers. Time consuming to actually happen in 5 countries. Thank you.
Please, can the ambassadors of Cuba, Czech Republic, Democratic Republic of the Congo make their way to the stage, please? The Ambassador of Cuba, your 1 minute starts now.
Secretary General, honorable chairs, distinguished guests, and fellow delegates. Do the members here present believe that it is normal for our society in the 21st century to continue to dictate the rights of people who have Down syndrome? One of every 1 million members has this syndrome, and as we are persons, so are we, as we have rights, so do they. Therefore, over the next 2 days, Cuba will be working towards improving the rights for people who have Down syndrome. The second issue that is of particular importance for this delegation during this conference is the economic recovery before the crisis. Poverty has increased, and if the UN members do not take preventive actions against it, there are not going to be further improvements in SDG 1, no poverty. Cuba proposes the creation of a global campaign that should provide the basic daily requirements for a living for people who are being fully affected by this crisis. Thank you.
The Ambassador of the Czech Republic, your 1 minute starts now.
Mr. President, fellow delegates, we are very proud to be here to achieve a future in which all citizens can enjoy the democracy that we in the Czech Republic have lacked so much in the past. Our historical past has taught us that we can resolve conflicts peacefully and the inalienable value of democracy and freedom. We come to this conference with the will to achieve great agreements that will make our society more efficient and promising in aspects related to health, economy, environment, and human rights. Therefore, the Czech Republic cannot overlook the human rights violations that the younger population is suffering in China. We consider it a priority to hear for the countries present here to address this issue. The Czech Republic attaches a great importance to dealing with global economic and social problems, such as paying taxes for the COVID-19 pandemic economic recovery. In addition, the Czech Republic is convinced that the investment in education will solve many of the problems that we will be discussing these days, such as health problems and environmental hazards. Thank you.
The Ambassador of the Democratic Republic of Congo, your 1 minute starts now.
Secretary General, honorable chairs, fellow delegates and guests. Are the delegates attending this conference aware of the inequality in education nowadays? Children in the Democratic Republic of Congo have to combine hard work and education to the point of working all day to help their family and having to go to school at night or even not having the opportunity to go. Education is something we cannot play with. All children must have the opportunity to study regardless of their race or religion. It has always been said that health should come first, so why do we put it on the stage? For all of us present here, when we open the tap, clear water comes in. Water available to drink, yes? Water is something essential for any human being, and in the Democratic Republic of Congo, water is mostly only found in rivers and lakes. This water is not fit for consumption, but when you don't have anything else, you have to live at risk and expose yourselves to disease or even death. The possibility of consuming water in good conditions should be possible not only in our country, but throughout the world. The planet where we live must change, and that change must start now. Thank you.
Please, can the ambassadors of France, Iceland, and Rwanda make their way to the stage, please? The Ambassador of France, your 1 minute starts now.
Honorable chairs, fellow delegates, and esteemed guests, bonjour à tous et toutes. The Republic of France is honored to speak at this UN conference in Bilbao and pleased to discuss the current pressing issues that unify us as fellow member states. It is no longer a question if or when, but rather how we're going to work towards collective resolutions in which the French delegation will continue to embrace liberté, égalité et fraternité. This is the formula that will allow the UN to propel into a sustainable future for each and every one of us. First and foremost, liberté, the cultural freedom and tolerance concerning religious beliefs and traditions. Then, égalité, the equality that forms the foundation of our freedom of expression and fight against police brutality. And lastly, fraternité, the solidarity that gives rise to international collaborations on our global economy and environmental issues. The Republic of France invites all member states to take a similar approach now and ever, so that we can combat any issue as nations united. Merci beaucoup.
The ambassador of Iceland, your 1 minute will start now.
Secretary General, distinguished guests and honorable delegates, it is an honor for the delegation of Iceland to participate in this conference. On the 9th of November of 1946, a resolution was passed by the General Assembly admitting that Iceland and Sweden as members of the United Nations at the 48th plenary meeting at the General Assembly on 19th November 1946. Iceland was officially welcomed as a member of the United Nations. The Icelandic government has always felt that interterritorialism and cooperation between nations is of vital importance. The delegations view that all human rights, whether civil, political, economic, social, cultural, are universal, indivisible, interdependent, and eternally relevant. Respecting these values is up to the international community, and Iceland is proud to say that, alongside the other Nordic nations, it has been among the leading countries in this area. Iceland regards other United Nations as a unique organ able to help coordinate the complete peace-building efforts in the countries on its agenda, attract the attention of world, marshal additional resources and further international goals. We are therefore appreciate the opportunity to be taking part in this conference and are looking forward to having fruitful discussions with all countries. Thank you.
The ambassador of Iraq, your 1 minute starts now.
Honorable sirs, fellow delegates, and distinguished guests, it is a great pleasure for the Republic of Iraq to be presented today. We are incredibly confident to be here, and we are looking forward to cooperating with other delegates in order to find possible solutions to many problems the world is facing. Our nation has been represented in the UN since 1945, and we have been involved in many subjects and hope to be many more. Iraq feels it is essential that all nations find multilateral solutions to global cooperation because we won't be able to face. The Republic of Iraq would like to encourage every delegate to engage in the relevant debates to make this conference productive and to make wise decisions regarding the different topics and commitments. Also to take a second thought about the votes because of the impact this will have. To conclude, I would like to wish luck for the delegates and hope for this conference to be useful and prosperous. Thank you.
Please, can the ambassadors of Israel, Italy, and Japan make their way to the stage, please? 1 minute to start the seminar.
Secretary General, honorable chairs, fellow delegates, and distinguished guests. It is a pleasure for the delegation of Israel to be present here today to discuss current issues that concern the whole world and to take appropriate measures to resolve them. The delegation of Israel is concerned with several problems that have not been tackled till now. Among others, main Israeli issues are the fear to terrorism and lack of citizens' human rights. We feel so frightened about terrorism that personal questions are asked to anybody who wants to enter into the country. According to several articles, violence and wars are present in Israel nowadays. Taking this into account, we could say that Israel's army is one of the most well-prepared ones in the world. For this reason,